Well, good morning, everybody here in person and online. We are so glad that you're with us today. Go ahead and stand, and we're going to enter a couple of songs of worship today.
Who am I that the highest King would welcome me? I was lost, but he brought me in. Oh, his love for me. Oh, his love for me. Who the Son sets free. Oh, he's free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. Free at last, he has ransomed me. His grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Come on, sing this out. Yes, he died for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. I am chosen and not forsaken. I am who you say I am. And you are for me and not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen and not forsaken. I am who you say I am. And you are for me and not against me. I am who you say I am. Yes, I am who you say I am. Who the Son sets free, oh, he's free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, in my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am.
Come on, churches, right now where you're at. There's a lot of us today that feel like we are not chosen, that we can't get through what we're going through today, that we don't have victory. But today, you are here right now, and it's not by mistake. It's not by coincidence. You're here for a reason. Even online, Jesus has something for you today. And it's your choice to miss it or to not miss it. So what are you going to do? Sometimes we have to persevere. Sometimes we have to push through the hardship to get to the victory. Amen? But we worship from a place of victory, not fighting for it, but we also worship.
I am chosen and not forsaken. I am who you say I am. And you are for me and not against me. I am who you say I am. Sing it again. I am chosen and not forsaken. I am who you say I am. And you are for me and not against me. I am who
Father, we're thankful for your love today, Jesus, and God, that you are a defender, God, of our hearts, Jesus. Even when they're so broken, we feel like we can't go on, God, you're defending us today.
You go before I know that you've even gone to end my war, and you come back with the head of my enemy, and you come back and you call it my victory. Oh yeah. Thank you, Jesus. You go before I know that you've even gone to win my war. Your love becomes my greatest defense. It leads me from the dry wilderness, and all I did was praise, and all I did was worship. Yes, Father. All I did was bow down, all I did was stay still. Come on, sing this out with me today. Hallelujah, you have saved me so much better this way. Hallelujah, great defender, it's so much better your way. You know before I do, and where my heart can seek to find your truth. Your mercy is the shade I'm living in, and you restore my faith and hope again. And all I did was praise, and all I did was worship, and all I did was bow down, and all I did was stay still. Yeah. Hallelujah, you have saved me. It's so much better this way. Yes, it is, Jesus. And hallelujah, great defender, it's so much better your way. You know where I left me. You reintroduced me to your love, and you picked up all my pieces, put me back together. You are the defender of my heart. And when I thought I lost me, you know where I left me. You reintroduced me to your love, and you picked up all my pieces and put me back together. You are the defender of my heart. Hallelujah, you have saved me. So much better this way. Hallelujah, great defender. So much better your way. Sing it again, sing hallelujah. Hallelujah, you have saved me. So much better this way. Yes, it is God. Hallelujah, great defender. So much better your way. Oh, it is good. So much better your way. So much better. Oh, it's better. Hallelujah, Father. God, you're a defender of our hearts.
Sing that bridge with me.
And when I thought I lost me, you know where I left me. You reintroduced me to your love. And you picked up all my pieces, put me back together. You are the defender of my heart. You are the defender of my heart. You are the defender of my heart. Yes, you are God.
Father Jesus, I know that there are people in this room today, God, or online, that, Father, they are broken. And Jesus, they need a victory today. God, they need release. They need freedom, Jesus, in their lives today. So, Father, I pray that right now, God, that you would begin to move in their hearts. That, Jesus, that you would move and you would let them know that, God, that you are trying to do something better, that you're trying to grow life, that they've been surviving for so long, but, God, you want them to thrive. Don't let us leave the same way that we came in today, God. Let us be better. Let us be growing, Jesus, and getting closer to you, Father. In your precious and mighty name, amen. You guys can go ahead and take a seat. This is a time in our service where Pastor Ben and I just want to say thank you so much. If you are new today, my name's Heather, and this is my husband, Ben. We're the lead pastors here at Happy Rock Church. And like I said, this is a time where we want to say thank you because we're here today being able to do service and being online in a just crazy time our world is going through because of you, because you give, because you have made it possible for us to continue to do this every single week. And so from our hearts to you, we just want to say thank you for being so faithful. Thank you for partnering with us and contributing, because a lot of times when we were growing up in church, we didn't realize as kids how much it really takes all of us working together to make church possibility every single week, because church is not the building, it's what? It's the people. It's the people. And so if the people don't come together and work together, it can't be, because there's no church, because the church is the people. And so when we were kids, we didn't realize how important it was to contribute. You know, we just went to church because our parents told us to, or, you know, whatever. But you're here today, and so we just want to encourage you to not just come to church and say, oh, I marked it off my checklist this week, but to actually become part of us, because you belong here already, but we want you to be a part of the family. And being a part of the family means, you know, when you eat a meal together, right? You know, I have this saying in our house: if you don't help, you don't eat. It's just how it is, okay? Because mom cooks, so that means everybody else cleans up. They help. We contribute because we're a family, and the family helps each other out. And so thank you for giving. If you are new today, or you've never partnered with us in financial giving, there's two ways that you can give. And so I just also want to put a little throw out there for Kingdom Builders is our missions giving. And this month, we are going to, on May 6th, we are purchasing lunch for the entire faculty at Chapel Hill, which is like 60 to 65 people, all of them from custodians to the principal, everybody. We're purchasing Chick-fil-A for them. And we're going to do that, and we're also going to stock their break room with all kinds of snacks and everything to last them for weeks past, so they can get through the end of the year. You know what I mean? And so if you'd like to partner with us in that as well, you can give and just put on their KB for Kingdom Builders if you'd like to help us out with teacher appreciation, because I know that Chapel Hill it means the world to them. And so if we don't partner together, it won't happen. So thank you for partnering with us. Go ahead and as you're preparing your gift, let's check out church news this morning.
Hi, my name's Heather, and we're so glad that you joined us today at Happy Rock Church. If you're a first-time guest, we want to say welcome, and we have a free gift for you. There are multiple ways that you can receive that gift. If you're online with us, you can click the connection card link in the video description, or you can text the word NEW to the number that's on your screen right now. If you're in person with us, you can take out the yellow This Is Home card, fill it out, and take it to the yellow room, which is our welcome center. Also, if you're new to Happy Rock, we would love to invite you to our upcoming welcome night. This is a night where you can come and hear more about Happy Rock Church and who we are, meet some staff, and have some free food on us. Sounds pretty great, right? If you'd like to RSVP for the welcome night, you can text the word welcome to the number that's on your screen right now. Here at Happy Rock, we don't want something from you, but we want something for you. So let's get ready for the message, because we know that God has something incredible for you today.
So this morning, before we jump into our series, Dawn is Coming, that we've been in, which has been great. This is week 3. We just first wanted to welcome those of you who are online. Thank you for joining us as well this morning. We're so glad you're here, as well as you in person. Like I said, my name is Heather, and this is my husband, Ben, with our pastors here at Happy Rock Church. And I just have to send, really quick before I get into the other news before our series. Our volunteers, can we please just give them a hand right now this morning? Our serve team. Our serve team have been, just since we came back in person, they have been working tirelessly and just supporting and being flexible and working so hard. And so we appreciate them so much. And like I said, the church is the people. So you see Pastor Ben and I up on stage and stuff, but honestly, we are only able to do what we do because all of our serve team make us look good. They do.
Absolutely, they do.
They make us
they
look
do.
good. And so you see our faces and you're like, oh, they're the pastors. But honestly, if you come in person, the people that you should really be standing in line to meet is our serve team, because they're amazing. And we just appreciate them, and they don't get thanked enough. So thank you, our team, who are out there right now and even at home. So you're awesome. We love you. Some exciting news today.
Yeah, pay attention.
Oh,
This is-
man,
this
I
is gonna
can't
be
wait.
cool.
Okay,
Cool.
so has anybody heard of Right Now Media?
Probably
Okay,
not.
nobody. So this is
Probably
great.
not.
Okay, fantastic.
Probably not.
Okay, so Right Now Media, this is what Right Now Media is. Right Now Media is like the Netflix of Christian Bible studies kind of thing. With access to over 10,000 resources, Bible study videos from 150 different leading Christian publishers and ministries, you'll find valuable tools for your neighborhood groups, like small groups, personal development in areas of life training like marriage, parenting, raising your kids, and there's also resources for kids and youth available on there as well. So normally it would cost you a monthly fee. Okay, it would. This is these people have written these, you can read any kind of books. There's videos, there's all kinds of content on this thing. It's kind of overwhelming, honestly. So when you get on there, just look at one thing at a time. But guess what you get today? So if you are part of our mailing list, even if you're not, you can just put your address on the connection card today, in person or online.
Email address.
Yes, your email address. So name and your last name, your first and last name, and then your email address. But if you're not part of that, sign up today because it's free for you. We are purchasing that. The church is purchasing that so you can have that available. So literally all you do is you sign up just like with a username and password, and you'll get the email link in your email today on your way out. It is being sent to you today. So if you're not part of our mailing list that you get a newsletter from us every week, like church news, make sure you sign up on the connection card today, and we will get that email to you this week as well. But take advantage of this. I mean, I've already been there. So I do youth here at the church, and I've already been on there like focusing on like our next series and what we're going to do. It's so good. And it's something this is at your fingertips. Because I know a lot of times we don't have the resources that we need sometimes or feel like we need, or we can't find exactly the subject that we're going through, whether you need encouragement or just, a better marriage, whatever it is. We are putting this in your hands, and there's an app for it on your phone. You can do it on your computer, whatever. So make sure you put on the connection card your email and say, I want to sign up for Right Now Media.
Yep. And not to mention, it can be kind of difficult to differentiate between what would be considered a trusted source and what would be considered a source that tends to just go their own way with translating what they think the Bible is saying. And so trusted sources make it on this website. So this is the best thing that you could be doing. If you feel like devotions are kind of like, I'm kind of bored, try some of these things out. Try going through some of these plans on here and see if you can re-spark a little bit of passion, because they're really well done as well.
Because Sunday mornings are important, coming to church, and things like that. But these are giving you opportunities to further your walk with Jesus beyond Sundays. This is the Monday through Saturday experience. And so you don't have an excuse. We've given it to you. So make sure, if you're not part of our mailing list, to put your email in there so we can get connected with you. So
we will get it to you. But
yes.
Let's begin the message for today. I'm so excited. We're in the third week of Dawn is Coming, and there's something you need to know specifically about today, okay? Today is centered around 1 Peter chapter 2. Now, you can write that down if you want to. I suggest you do that, but we're not going to read the whole thing because I like to teach out of the Amplified version, and it's way long in the Amplified version. Sometimes Scripture, one verse can be almost twice as long as in other translations, only because it adds little descriptive phrases of what does this one particular word mean to in our language, because most of the time we don't quite understand when there's a word that we don't understand the full meaning behind it without having little examples, and we just usually breeze right through it. Well, the Amplified sticks a lot of that stuff in there, so it kind of lengthens how long it takes you to read it. So we're not going to read the whole thing, but you should read it this week so that you can kind of be understanding everything that we're doing. But I will start here. We're going to start in verse 11 of 1 Peter chapter 2. And he starts this verse off just like this. Peter says, "Beloved." And guess what? He's talking about you, church. He's talking about you, followers of God, me, everybody that is a follower of God, beloved. And that's a description of who you are, not who you're acting like necessarily or how you think, but that's a description of who you are from God's perspective. So we're starting off right on this verse. "Beloved, I urge you as aliens and strangers in this world." Now, like those little brackets right there, "in this world," that's unique to Amplified version. It's telling us, okay, you're aliens and strangers. Cool. All right. But where am I? But in this translation is pointing to the fact that this points as our place here in this world, on this planet as Earth, as we're living our lives out here, we're strangers. We're aliens here. And with Peter's encouragement, the verse continues on, of course, but the encouragement this encouragement comes with understanding that we need to understand that this is not our home. Have you ever just felt like it just doesn't fit here? I'm not talking about Kansas City or wherever you might hail from if you're not from here, even at your job. Or have you ever just felt like this just doesn't fit? Something doesn't feel right. There's something that's incomplete happening here. You're never going to get rid of that feeling, because this is not where our end home is. We're like on a trip, right? We're not home yet, but we're on the way there. We're just passing through here. But understand that if you don't like your today, if you're not enjoying your trip, dawn is coming. Dawn is coming, so keep looking forward toward your final destination, your final home. And that's what we're going to be talking about today a little bit.
Yes. So, Pastor Ben was just saying that, if wherever you're born, you're a citizen of, but what he's saying about not belonging from here is when we come into a relationship with Jesus and we are saying, God, I want you to be the Lord of my life, surrendering our life over to Jesus, we are born again. And when you're born again, that means that you become a citizen of heaven. And so that's what Pastor Ben's talking about is like, when you become a Christian, it's hard to not feel the longing for heaven because we become citizens of heaven. So gatherings like this, church and small groups and things like that, gatherings with other Christians is kind of like the closest things we have as to heaven on earth that we can experience. Because what happens is all of our gifts come kind of into one place, like I was talking about, like contributing. And we talk about this sometimes as in the way of, like if I'm a hand of the body of Christ, okay, but Ben is the arm, or, Will is the toe, or, whatever. Will would be the toe if he was the toe.
Toes have a supreme function.
They do. You ever hit your toe
I don't have
and it
time,
hurt real bad? Yeah.
We don't have time
They're
to get
important.
into it, but your pinky toe, if you don't have a pinky toe, you really lack balance, apparently. That's
Yeah,
like that's a
exactly.
medical fact. So,
So-
those things are important.
Will's
right?
going to be the pinky toe. You are
Keep
the
us
balance.
balanced, Will. Keep us balanced.
So, but what I'm saying is all of us together present, we focus on, we're focusing on Jesus. We're going after the same goal. And that's why it helps us, even feel more like we belong when we come to church and we're around Christians, is because when we come in that fellowship with Jesus, we're belonging together because we're citizens of heaven together. And that's how it should be anyway. And so it just, makes us homesick a little bit sometimes for heaven. And for me, I'm not like that all the time. Ben is more like that. Ben talks about heaven and things like that a lot. But there's a few things from my past that I struggle with death, that it's just a little harder for me to just be like, yeah, I just want to go to heaven right now. You know what I mean? So it's not that I don't, but if you're like me and you just don't think about that all the time, I'm trying to get better. I'm trying in the way of like, that's something I have something to look forward to. It's not a scary thing to lose people in my life if they're going to heaven. Like, it's a rejoicing moment. And so that's something for me that I need to get better at, as yearning for heaven. But that human side of me, sometimes it does feel like that, Ben, like being here, it feels like I have something missing. And even having a relationship with Jesus and walking with him daily and in serving and ministering, it still feels like there's something missing because we have that yearning, that homesickness for heaven. And so it can make us feel like we're incomplete. But we have some good things to talk to you about to help with that a little bit. So homesick for heaven, even having Jesus in our lives, because of this, we are experiencing the discomfort of life on the road. And what we're talking about, life on the road here on earth, sometimes can feel like a journey. I mean, it is a journey, but it sometimes can feel like a really hard road trip, okay? So you ever notice when you watch like movies, like, has anybody seen the movie RV? Like, they go on this road trip in this RV and all these horrible things happen to them. And then we were watching a show with the kids the other day. It was a kids show, and the family was on a road trip, and the
RV.
tire blew out and all this stuff. And I'm like, I never want to go on a road trip in an RV ever, because they like show it this horrible thing to do. But sometimes our life can feel like we're in an RV, that the tire's blown out, nothing's working. We just can't get ahead. And so we have to realize that dawn can come for us in that. We just have to continue to push through for the final destination.
Yeah, and it seems like in every RV movie, there's something to do with raccoons. Every single one of these movies, there's like an attack, or they're just like hiding in the stove or something ready. We've had our own raccoon issues here. It's been a couple of years. I caught that thing in a trap and we got rid of him. We didn't kill him, okay, just for everybody to know. It was live catch, live release, but he is gone, long gone, he or she. But we're experiencing this discomfort on the road. Have you ever been on a road trip? I'm pretty sure most everybody has, or just been in the car for a while. When you've been in the car for a while and you're heading home, what does it feel like? There gets to be a little bit of impatience. You've been sitting in the car for, an hour or more, like your back starts to hurt a little bit. You start, kind of shifting like this, and then you start shifting like this. And if you can afford to do it, you start like crossing legs and doing things and doing stretches and things. It's uncomfortable.
He does all that while
Right?
driving.
Yes, I do.
All of that.
Leg stretches up to the ceiling. No, oh my goodness, that would kill me. But it's especially difficult when you got kids in the car with you, right? Are we there yet?
Have we stopped the car and gotten out and said, this
Like,
is our place?
Do you
No.
see our
We're not
house?
here.
Does anything around here look familiar?
Eve
Answer.
asks that all the time. Like
Oh.
when we're on the way home from like my mom's or something, we're driving down the highway. Are we almost home? Look around, Eve.
Be like, girl,
Do you see anything familiar? No.
I
Then we're
love
not.
you, but
5 minutes later, we're home, right? I'm
answer
like,
that question
"No, we're not
for
home."
yourself, my dear. But if you've been gone from Kansas City for a while, you're on the way home. What does it feel like when you just get to the outskirts of Kansas City? You start getting that feeling, that anxious but also like calming feeling of almost home. We're almost there. Thank goodness it's not that much longer. We know the length of time. We're almost home. Homes are good, right? As long as they're a healthy place to be, as long as the people living there are trying to be healthy and have healthy relationship, home is good. Homes are houses or apartments, which are just like giant houses with a bunch of tiny houses inside of them. Not necessarily tiny, but just smaller than the overall building, right? Lots of people can live in there. So it's buildings, right? So what does it take to have a successful house? Well, you've probably need a wall or two, hopefully 4 at least, right? Some walls, a roof, and a bunch of other things that makes it a house. Those are essential elements, and it takes materials to build these things, right? So if you see construction on North Oak, when you're over by Berry Road and you're traveling north on North Oak, if you look over to the left behind the QT that's over there, what do you see? Just stacks and piles of wood everywhere because they're building some kind of giant, housing units over there, right? So you see just a bunch of materials. You see wood, and we build it over there, right? But if you got just like one lone board, what are you going to do with that thing, right? It's not all that useful on its own, right? But if you take a bunch of boards and you hook them together in the right way, you fasten them up, that can become something very helpful, right? That can be a wall, that could be part of the roof, that could be part of the overall thing, and it has value. And see, a house is like protection from the elements. It's protection from danger. It brings comfort. It's a place for people that you care about to be safe, right? Well, in 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 5, Peter talks about this a little bit, talking about us. Only he doesn't call us boards, he calls us stones. Back in those days, they didn't have the machinery that we had. They weren't cutting and spitting out these really thin, nice boards that we could do all this. They built with stones mostly. So they would cut these stones, and they were perfect, and they would stick them in place, and they would build everything. But he refers to each one of you and me as one stone, right? One stone. And if we're talking about a house and walls, and a roof was probably not made of stone, it was a different material, but the walls of the house were all made of stone, right? And so what if there was a stone missing from one of those walls? So back in their time frame, they didn't call those windows. They called those a hole in the wall, right? If you got a stone missing and it was not planned to be missing, it's just missing, it's a hole in the wall. That's allowing danger in. That's allowing the temperatures to come in and get you cold or too hot, or it upsets the balance of things when there are missing stones. And when a stone is kind of just off over by itself, not integrated in with all the rest of the stones. You see where I'm going with this a little bit? If we are not together in things as families, and even beyond the walls of this church, if our church is an isolated building away from all of the rest of the churches that serve God, call Jesus their Lord, we're so much less effective than being integrated into the village of Christianity, so to speak, all the buildings put together that all of our different churches make, our spiritual house that we are. But if you've got a stone that's just sitting off by itself, what's it good for? You look over at it and say, well, that's just a rock over there on the ground. Right? It doesn't have much value on its own. It really only exceeds its value when we get together. When we come together and we start doing things together rather than taking up the lone position away from everyone else.
And haven't you noticed that, all of us have had a time in our lives where we feel alone or we feel isolated. And in those moments, sometimes, we wonder why we feel alone, or we wonder why we feel depressed, or we wonder why we can't make better decisions, better choices, and we don't feel fulfilled. And that's because we're supposed to be part of the wall, because the wall is strength. It protects. It's an encouragement to us. We need the wall. And when you're alone and isolated and you don't have, that around you, that encouragement, that protection, that strength around you, what do you start feeling? You feel like you're all by yourself, like you're doing it all alone. And it's because you are. You feel that way because that's what's happening. But when you have people beside you and they're standing with you, even when you feel so discouraged, you need that strength. Sometimes you need somebody else to hold you up when you can't. You need somebody else to be praying for you when you don't have that. You need this family around you, and it makes you more stronger. So you are missing the benefits of the wall. You're missing the strength and the protection that you could possibly have. And I'll tell you, when we first started the church and we would go through things, we didn't really reach out to many people. We didn't really have a lot at that point, but we wouldn't reach out to people for help. We just didn't. We did a lot of it on our own, and we were lonely.
We paid the price.
We paid the price. We missed the benefits of that. And so, but now, I'm going through something hard, and it's like the enemy would start to tell me, they don't want to know your problems. They're not even going to know what to do anyway if you tell them. Or you're just going to put more on them than they need right now. They don't need to hear that. They've got enough issues going on their own. But now, God is you're supposed to hold each other up. You're the wall together. You help each other. And other people get healing when they help. And so now when we're going through stuff, I'll call or text a specific group of people and say, I need prayer in this. This is happening. Because I know immediately that my mind is starting to go places it doesn't need to. I'm discouraged. I'm worn down. I've had enough. And I need that strength because I don't have strength of my own. I don't want to miss the benefits anymore. And maybe today you're solo or you're putting yourself to be solo because you've been hurt in the house before. You were part of a wall, and that wall let you down. That wall. But you know what? Here's the thing that people forget. I need you to hear me on this morning. Hurting people hurt people. And do you know that 90% of the time hurting people don't hurt you on purpose? That you're hurting, but they're hurting too. And sometimes when they can't be what you need, it hurts. And that's one of the biggest reasons why we get hurt, because we put people up here. And I'm talking to myself today. That God is helping me stop looking at everybody and holding them to the same expectations that I hold myself. And I've got to bring that down a bit. And if I'm just pleasing God, that's all that matters. But we put people up here and we say, well, they need to meet this need. Or I reached out to them and they didn't do this and they didn't do that. And then we're like, well, they didn't care about me. Here's the thing. People do have issues going on. But that's why we always encourage you to have somebody who's ahead of you in your life, somebody who's on the same playing field as you, and then somebody who isn't as strong as you in their walk with God. Because if you have all three of those, then that's where you become really strong. You're helping somebody else in their walk. Somebody who's walking the same walk as you you're helping each other, and then somebody else who's higher in their walk than you are is helping you get further. But when you don't have those people in your life, you're doing it on your own. So we can't allow our decisions to control us because of what somebody else did. We can't allow our future decisions that we make and say, well, I'm never going to be part of a wall again. And that's how I've been. I'm never going to let people do things anymore because every time I do, I get let down. I'm never going to let somebody else make the decision because every time I do, I get let down. That's how I've lived. This is something God is telling me. I have placed myself out of the wall for so long, and I need to get back into it because I can't do this anymore all on my own. And that's my own fault, but this is healing that all of us need to get in some way. But I can't allow myself to not be part of a wall again because I'm afraid to be let down. But that's where my unmet expectations come in. If I'm pleasing God and I'm searching so hard just to please his heart instead of everybody else, then all the other stuff that I'm worried about is going to fall into place. And if I do get let down, I can't let my heart get sick because of it. I've got to allow God to work through that hurt and say, you know what? I'm still here, and he can become stronger in my life. And maybe I can look at that person a little bit differently and say, you know what? Maybe that person didn't really hurt me on purpose, but it was because they perceived something or because they were going through a hurt as well. We just assume that people hurt us on purpose, but it's usually the complete opposite. And so we have to have power to come back to the wall, even through the pain.
Yeah. When people hurt you and you leave them behind, you might feel like I'm done with you at that point. But if you're still making decisions based off of, I felt this way with them, I'm never going to feel that way now, ever again, so I'm going to decide to do this, they still have power over you. There's still a power that they are exercising. They don't even know it. They're not even a part of it. It's just you putting them in power over you. And these are the things we got to start fighting against these things. When I was a teenager, short detour, I was a teenager. I grew up in church. My mom was always on staff wherever we were. So I saw more of the behind the scenes and sometimes the good, the bad, and the ugly of churches, church families, the dynamics of family. Not every family is just, hey, A-okay. Every minute of the day, there are dips, you know. And I saw those things, and as a teenager, I grew up going, I am never working in a church. I want to be a worship leader. I'll just be in like a traveling band or something. I will never be on staff at a church because of all of this I've experienced. Thank God that he got a hold of me, helped me to heal through that via going to Bible college and different things. But there are benefits to being within the wall. To being within the wall, being in the house. And so I'm going to give you, we are going to give you three today. Three of the top benefits. I mean, there are more, okay? There are more, but we just picked out three because we don't have time for too many more than that. But number one, being part of the wall, the house of God, it gives you a place to belong. It gives you a place to belong. Generally, we let our fears drive our behavior. Right? I mean, that's just something that we do. If I'm afraid of something, I'm going to choose to distance myself. I'm going to choose away from whatever that fear is to try to protect myself and things. Well, one of the major fears that most people have, whether they'll admit it or not everybody, but most people, is when they walk into a room that they'll be invisible. And I'm not talking like superhero stuff. I'm talking like, I've walked into a room full of people and not one person even noticed I'm there. Like I'm carrying a hurt and nobody in my life has taken notice. No one understands. No one knows that I am hurting. They just, I need help, but no one's coming. I'm invisible. Should I even be here? You see where our lines of thought can take us when we're away from a wall. We trick ourselves into thinking I'm alone, so we act like we're alone. Because that's what the devil wants for us. He wants to lie you into feeling like you're alone, even being in a room full of people, and I'm alone. Right? Being alone or being not alone takes a little bit of effort, but let's just be realistic about it. In most places and with most people, they're probably not going to notice that you're hurting because they're focused on their own hurts, not on yours, right? And so we've got to become something else here. We have got to become a place that's filled with people that are not just focused on my own hurts, but I'm willing to look up and out and see you've got a hurt. And maybe I can't heal it but I can be a part of that process. I can be a shoulder. I can be a stone underneath you to hold you up. And then there's going to come a day when you're feeling strong enough and you look out and you notice there's someone else and you can be a stone that holds someone else up. That's the beauty of the wall. Beauty of the wall. Okay, verse 9 of 1 Peter chapter 2 You are a chosen race. You are chosen. You are chosen, child of God.
We sang about that this
Beloved.
morning.
God chose you. It's not an accident that you're here. I just came to my senses. I'm in church today. No, of course not. You're not here by mistake. You are a royal priesthood, a consecrated nation. Consecrated meaning you've been set aside for a special purpose. Special purpose, a special people for God's own possession, and not in the way of saying I own you as property, but as someone that you can belong to. That's who our God is. Someone we can belong to, so that you can proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness. All of the incredible things about Jesus, we can talk to people about those things, and we can help them realize maybe they've just been a lone stone and we've got a hole in our wall and they're going to fit there perfect, right? It's a place to belong.
Exactly. And so a lot of us don't really realize who we really are. I mean, I grew up in church and didn't understand who I was until I was about 23 years old, when I had a lot of things in my life that came to the surface at that point that needed to, and that were holding me back. And so it's hard not knowing who you are. But when you finally realize who you are, that's when everything just clicks into place and you find that purpose and drive. And if you don't know who you are, church is supposed to help with that. That's why we go, the welcome party and then the connect night. These are steps. They're not just things that we just are like, hey, come to this, but these are steps that we get you on to see if this can be a place that you actually feel like you can belong. But not just that, but it's a place to grow. It's a place to grow up, and to grow. That's what we want it to become, because we want to be here for you. We want to laugh with you. We want to cry with you. We want to be on this journey with you. And like I said, we want to contribute to your life. It's not like one of those things where you just come and, like I said, it's just you come and you check that off your list. Well, I went to church and then I'm going to leave and not talk to anybody. And is that really being a part of the wall? Is it really being a part, or is it kind of just coming along and saying, you're with basically the rest of the stones, but then you're like, oh, I'm out of here, not really wanting to be a part of the process and the building of the wall. And so that's kind of what we're trying to encourage you to get past. And so 1 Peter 2, 1 through 2, he read verse 9, but we're going to go back up to 1 and 2. And it says, so put aside every trace of malice and all deceit and hypocrisy and envy and all slander and hateful speech. Like newborn babies, you should long for the pure milk of the word, so that by it you may be nurtured and grow in respect to salvation. It's ultimate fulfillment. Like there's a reason why we encourage you to do Right Now Media. There's a reason why we encourage you to get into a real relationship with Jesus, not just saying, oh, well, I know about him. Okay, you know about him, but do you know him? Do you really know him? So it's kind of like if I said, oh yeah, I know all about golf. No, I know what golf is, but I don't know everything about it. I can go to the driving range, I can go to tee shots and hit some into the holes, but I'm saying I don't know, I couldn't tell you everything about it. Know what a par is, but that's about it. But the thing is I know a little bit about golf, but I don't really know golf, okay? But it's the same thing with Jesus. We can say we know about him, but to really know him is to be in a relationship with him, getting close to him. That's what we're trying to help you realize, that this can be a place where you can grow in that relationship with Jesus and others.
Yeah. And listen, if you want to grow up, I'm about to challenge you, church family, followers of Jesus, with love, okay? Because I love you, I want to present things in a way that you will understand. How do I even achieve growth in my life? Sometimes achieving growth is not just adding more, piling on more into your life that's good, and continuing to hang on to all of the things that are negative in your life.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. It should be more like a swap, a replacement, not just, well, I'm going to add more good stuff, so now my balance has been tipped. I have more good in my life than bad, right? No, okay. If you want to grow up, there were a lot of things that were listed in this verse we just read: malice and deceit, hypocrisy, envy, slander, hateful speech. All right, you want to grow up? You got to start putting that stuff away. You got to, and honestly, it comes down to opinion most of the time. My opinion is what matters to me the most. And so if my opinion is against someone else's, that means they're wrong and I don't like them. Right? We're at odds with each other. We're fighting. Look, if I come here every week and I bring my slander against someone or something that I disagree with, is that going to bring growth in anybody, in me? Is that? No, of course not. If I come here and bring my slander and it's just every week, it's, well, the government this and the police that, well, and the Democrats this and the Republicans that, and well Trump this and well Biden that. Who's growing? Who's growing if that's my conversation I'm trying to have with you every week?
But like I said, it really comes down to unmet expectations. We expected something to happen and it didn't, and because of that, we're upset.
Right.
And I'm speaking, this is me, this is my life 100%. If these expectations we put on others or situations and they don't happen, and that's when it starts to really fall apart.
And a lot of it, truthfully, just comes down to hateful speech. Just throwing a bunch of negative thoughts onto someone else, hoping that they'll stick, so that someone will agree with you. Come on, church, we can do better. We can do better there. God has so much more for you and for me in our growth than hanging on to all of this stuff and then just trying to pile some good stuff on top of it so it looks and feels a little better. Come on, we've got more. I mean, if I bring it with me, I'm not growing. If I bring it with me, it stops this also from being a place that people can belong, our first point. Because if I just bring all my heavy opinions and I'm trying to just force them on people, what are they going to do and say? Bye. I don't want to be a part of this. Like, I disagree. Well, then you're my enemy. Well, then I'm leaving, I guess. Well, it will cease to be a place to belong, but it will also... It also allows me to focus more on my opinion than on my growth. That's what, when I hang on to what my stuff is rather than what God's stuff is, I can't grow because I'm more tied to my opinion, the importance of my opinion, than the importance of God's opinion and the growth He wants to achieve in me. And negativity is not a good growth strategy for me. It's not a good growth strategy for you or for this church family or anyone for that matter. I mean, now let's be clear. Bringing something to discuss that you're just like you don't have set ideas about. You're just like questioning, like, is this right? Like, how should I feel about this? Like, you don't have a formed opinion. Bringing something to discuss with someone other than yourself is good, and it could bring growth because you may not see a different perspective outside of what you can understand. But if I'm bringing something I'm mad about, and then I'm trying to argue other people into being mad about it with me, it's never going to bring growth, and it's going to chase people away, and it might bring around slander and hateful speech. So it's time to grow up. Yeah. We can do this. God has given us everything we need to be able to overcome these things, and it really just comes down to listening to what Peter just said. He just said it to us: set these things aside. Yeah. Set these things aside, and it's time to grow up, and you can do it. You can do it. I believe in you. You can do it.
One of the best ways to grow up right now, because I mean, it's hard sometimes to put practical steps in place when you don't even know where to start. But the biggest thing that I think Pastor Ben would agree with is one of the quickest ways to grow up is to show up. Absolutely. If you want to grow up, you got to show up. And so that means like being here on Sundays. Like this is a big deal. And I know if you're here right now, then that means you're not immune compromised to the point to where you can't get out and you can't be here. So sometimes growth means making church important.
Yeah,
it's making church important because remember, you going to church does not mean you just showing up at the building. The church is the people. So if you're not around the people, That's being part of the wall. Do you understand what I'm saying? I know that the last year has made it easier, and I'm not trying to like stir the waters here, but at the same time, like God has made us to where we are the leaders here, so we've got to sometimes stir the pot a bit. But if you're going to be a part of the wall, be a part of the wall. And being at home, if you can be here, being at home, but you could be here, that's not being part of the wall. You got to show up. If you're going to grow up, you got to show up. You got to be here. Be here when you don't have to just be here for something that you're doing that morning. Be here because you want to be here on the other days too, because you need the encouragement through the week. You may not be going through something. You may have not just went through something last week, but what if because you didn't show up today, you're going to go through something this week that you could have gotten through better because you showed up here and you got the encouragement and the strength and what you needed. Do you see what I'm saying? God has a plan for your life, and it includes showing up, being a part of the people. So not only is it a place to belong or a place to grow up, but it's a place to be a part of something bigger than yourself. That's the biggest key right there, a place to be a part of something bigger than yourself. 1 Peter 2:5, part of it says that you believers, like living stones, are being built up into a spiritual house. If you want the strength and you want those kind of things in your life, you've got to be those things as well. We can't be people that just take and never give. You see what I'm saying? Well, I'm hurting. Well, I'm going through this. Well, just to let you know right now, your pastors are hurting pretty bad this morning. We're going through something that we've never gone through before, and the enemy has been kicking us in the tail for the last month. I mean, hard. And there have been points where I wanted to give up so bad, but because I am going to grow through this, and because I have determined that the enemy is not going to get me down in this, because I have a calling. And if I don't show up, you can't grow up. And if I don't show up, I can't grow up. There are times when I have to roll out of bed and barely get dressed because I am just so overwhelmed and just heart sick. But because it's important and Jesus died for me, it is worth it. And he is every day healing my heart a little bit more, every day. And coming here, do you know that coming here this morning, I haven't thought about my problems? Because I see your faces, and I know you're online with us, and I'm strengthened by you. And I'm strengthened by your smiles, even though I can't see your mouth, but I know I can see it in your eyes, that you're smiling back at me, and you're asking me how I am, and you're saying, it's good to see you. I am strengthened and encouraged by that. But what if we just stop showing up?
Yeah, I mean, man, last night, our neighbor's kids were jumping on a trampoline till 1 a.m, yelling and screaming, and their dog was barking, and they're shining flashlights and just like raving. I'm tired, but I wanted to be here because I wanted to see all of you. You're my wall.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a part of it. There's not a question in my mind. Am I going to show up or not? Discount the fact it's my job. I desire to be part of this wall. If it wasn't my job to be here today, I would be here today because I want to be part of my wall. Now, everything we talked about today centers around being part of the house of God, spiritually speaking. Because I'm not talking about realism with like you're an actual stone and we're just going to be, connected together. It's all spiritually speaking. We're connected in that way. And it matters that you come here and you leave knowing someone else's name. It matters. Because otherwise you're just like a stone that's kind of sitting next to the wall. Not integrating into it, like knowing someone's name, knowing somebody's story, knowing what's happening in someone else's life and allowing them a peek into your life too. It's part of the wall. Brings support for us, and you can one day support someone else in that we support each other in this way. But to become part of the wall in the first place, it all starts with a decision to say, okay, Jesus, I don't know everything about you or about what's happening, but I've heard from different sources or this pastor today that to get to heaven, to get to our final destination, that this trip that we're on, we're heading towards a final destination. And if you want to be in heaven one day, which is where you belong, it's where you should end up, you got to know Jesus. You got to become someone that prioritizes Jesus in your life, and not just the rules, but a relationship. You know his name and you know his stuff because you've been talking to him. Conversations. And one thing that we just talked about it this past week, Jesus is talking an awful lot more than we're listening. And I can prove that via I have a little journal that I write in, and as part of our growth process, we would set aside 15 minutes in the day to just sit and be quiet and say, okay, God, I'm listening to you. Tell me what you want me to know. And when I was doing that specifically, I was filling up entire pages each day of what I felt like God was just whispering to me and trying to cue me into and things. And then once I reached a point of going, okay, God, let's see if we can't just work through the day and you just talk to me, and as I hear from you, I'll write things down. Guess what? I'll write down something maybe once every 3 days. What's changed? Jesus hasn't changed. The way I'm doing it changed. So now I got to get back to doing it where I'm listening to Jesus. But we become followers of Jesus. He forgives us of what sin against God should be costing us, which is spiritual death. It's an eternity in hell instead of heaven. That's the cost. That's what we're giving up. If we don't want to follow Jesus, we are giving up heaven, which is going to be a lot longer than our travel through here on earth. So I want to encourage you, choose Jesus today. Decide, okay, I don't know everything, but I know I want to be in heaven, and if you're telling me that it takes Jesus to get there, then I'm going to believe it and I'm going to go. Let's do this right now. I would just want to give you an opportunity to make that decision and to pray with me. So church family, can we just bow our heads right where we are? Maybe you're somebody that's been a Christian before, you've been a Christian for a long time, but you've just kind of gotten off the path. Maybe you've gotten a little sleepy. Maybe there have been some hurts that have come up in your life, and you just haven't made it past those things. Today we can get our focus back on Jesus, and we can start growing again, setting aside all the stuff that doesn't belong in your life and piling in some new good stuff that's going to get you on God's path for you. Maybe you're somebody, if you're listening here today or you're in here in person today and you don't know Jesus, today can change. And I'm going to show you how. You don't need all the answers except this one. I know that Jesus will make my way for heaven, period. If you believe that, that's a starting point for all of us. It's the first step in this journey. So I want to encourage you to pray with me. And church family, can we just all pray together? If you want to make this decision, pray with me. Don't just repeat the words after me, but take these words and say them to Jesus, like he's sitting here right in front of you and you're talking to him. Use some conviction in your heart. Mean every word, right? Are we ready? Come on, let's pray. Jesus, I want to live for you. I believe you died on the cross for my sins. Be my Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Can we just celebrate God for a moment? Come on, put your hands together.
If you've made a decision today, either here in person or online, we'd love to hear about it. You can mark it on your connection card. Again, online, the connection card link is in the video description. You can click on that, but we'd love to hear about it. There's some other spots in there too. If you'd like to come to the welcome party or if you just like some more information about it, we can give that to you as well. And if you are here in person, make sure to to take the connection card to the generosity box on your way out. You can put your gift there as well. And if you're a first-time guest, take that yellow card to the yellow room so we can meet you and we can get you your first-time guest gift. But we want to follow up with you in any way that we can because it's important. And we've been talking through all these different struggles and all these things that life is happening, and life stinks sometimes. Yes, it does. But we've been talking about pre-dawn, about the
Yeah.
pre-dawn of life.
We've been focusing on the dark spots in
Yes,
life these
we
past
have.
few weeks. Now,
Yes.
from here on out, we're going to start seeing the sunrise
Yes.
of the Dawn is Coming message series, right? We're going to start looking past and beyond, and it's going to be so good, you're not going to want to miss it. Not going
Exactly.
to want to miss it.
So thanks for being here today. Sorry we went a little bit over, but we love you. We hope you have a great week, and we will see you next Sunday at 10 a.m. Let's just celebrate God one more time as you guys go this morning.